And finally, the last thing I'd suggest you think about is when you read book 9, which, as I say, is the culmination of the poem. It's the book in which Eve and then Adam in turn eat the fruit which precipitates their fall. Think about how this book positions you as a reader. What responses do you have as you read this book? I've already said there are differences in the motivations for the fall of Eve and the fall of Adam. Eve, as we know, was tempted by Satan, and that's what precipitates her fall. Adam, however, isn't tempted by Satan, but nonetheless he eats the fruit and he falls. So does that make him more guilty than Eve or less guilty? Depending on how you answer that, you might want to think about how that makes you, if you like, adjudicate the action of the poem that you're reading. Do you feel invited to judge the decisions that they made? Is that how you're positioned? Is this a poem that is inviting you to judge and perhaps to condemn them? Or is it rather inviting you to lament and regret their actions, maybe because of the consequences for all humanity that came after them? And of course that includes us as readers. Yeah? So are you positioned to lament and regret? Do you feel that you understand their actions? Is there sufficient information so that you can kind of follow, if you like, the twists and turns of their thinking and their motivations, so that you understand what they do? And if that's the case, do you also to some extent sympathize with their actions? Does understanding bring sympathy? And depending on how you answer that question, you might then want to go back to the project of the poem that I suggested was set up in book 1, which was to Milton's desire to assert eternal providence and to justify the ways of God to men. Well, depending on how you feel, how you respond to the actions of Eve and Adam in book 9, you might want to think about what implications your answer there has for the way that that Milton's great project, his great argument, is unfolding in his ambition to, as I say, justify the ways of God to men. And I look forward to talking to you about Paradise Lost in greater detail and at greater length later this year.